All right. Today, we're diving into a story that is absolutely going to make you question the very nature of your own mind. It comes from an article by intuitive counselor Aaron Pavlina, and it starts with a concept a lot of us know, lucid dreaming. But oh man, it quickly spirals into something that feels like it was ripped straight out of a sci-fi novel. It completely blurs the lines between consciousness, technology, and reality itself. So let's just kick things off with a question that sits at the very heart of this entire experience. Are your dreams really your own private little theater? Or is there something else going on when you close your eyes at night? Okay, so our story begins with Erin Pavlina. Now, she's a very experienced lucid dreamer, someone who has spent years, literally years, honing her ability to become self-aware and basically take control inside of her dreams. For her, the dream world was like a sandbox she knew inside and out. But then, something really strange started to happen. Now, just in case you're not familiar, lucid dreaming is that incredible moment where you realize, hey, I'm dreaming, while you're still inside the dream. For Erin, this meant she could shape the story, explore wherever she wanted, and pretty much direct the whole experience. It was her space of total freedom, or so she thought. So, about 2 years ago, that familiar, controllable space, it started to malfunction. Something new, something that felt totally external and just completely unexpected, began to seep into her dream world. She started seeing these little text message pop-ups in the corner of her dream screen. I mean, imagine you're dreaming about being back in high school, and all of a sudden a text appears that has nothing to do with anything. These messages were distracting, sometimes even a little alarming. And here's the kicker. They were never actually on her phone when she woke up. This was the very first sign that maybe she wasn't entirely alone in her own mind. And then the anomalies got even weirder. The little glitches evolved from these random text messages into something way more structured, something that looked eerily like computer code. Suddenly, before a dream would even start, she'd find herself in this stark, white, digital space. Seriously, think of the loading program from The Matrix. And then, right across the top of her vision, words would just start scrolling by, almost like a program was being executed right in front of her. This is what she saw. It reads just like an AI prompt, right? A set of instructions for a simulation. And as soon as she finished reading it, bam, the dream loaded, instantly. And there she was, in a boat, at night, being thrown into the water as a shark came right at her. The prompt had literally become her reality. So this obviously led her to some pretty huge questions. Was this just her own subconscious presenting itself in a new kind of high-tech way? Or was she actually witnessing an external programmer scripting her dreams? She decided she had to find out. So the very next time she found herself in that white loading room, as a new prompt for a new dream began typing itself out, she grabbed the opportunity. She interrupted it. And what happened next is easily the most mind-bending part of this entire encounter. She mentally just shouted into the void, "Who are you?" And the typing, it stopped. The response that came back was honestly chilling. "You're not supposed to be able to see this." But she pushed, and then it identified itself. It said, "I'm a program, but I'm also the programmer." It claimed it was programming her dreams. Now here's a really crucial point. This entity claimed it wasn't deciding what she dreamed about. Instead, it was programming what her higher self needed the most. Whether that was for a mental cleansing or wish fulfillment or even confronting her biggest fears. It basically framed itself as a facilitator for her own soul's progress, not some kind of dream dictator. So why could she suddenly see all this? The entity's explanation was just stunning. It said her dreams had always been programmed, but the interface itself had been altered, letting her get this peek behind the curtain. And why? Because, in its own words, evolution occurs here too. The system itself was upgrading. And this is where the conversation goes from just plain strange to truly reality-bending. It starts touching on the nature of time, of consciousness, and what it really truly means to have free will. When she asked where this evolution was happening, the entity corrected her. It said the more important question wasn't where, but when. And then it just dropped this bombshell. It claimed to be operating from a time 7 years in her future. So this raised a huge paradox about lucid dreaming, right? If dreams are pre-programmed, how could you change them? The programmer's answer was pretty profound. It explained that altering a dream isn't a glitch in their system. It's an exercise of your free will. It's you, the user, actively changing your own frequency. And this wasn't just allowed, it was actually encouraged. This very act of consciously changing a dream is what the entity called exceeding your programming. And this gets right to the heart of its purpose. It's a key marker of evolving consciousness that they actually look for, which suggests that lucid dreaming isn't just some psychological quirk. It might be a measurable step in our conscious evolution. And just who are they? Well, when she asked that, the entity revealed another layer to this mystery. It wasn't acting alone. There are other programmers, and there are other programs. This implies that this isn't some isolated thing, but part of a huge, hidden system. I mean, she had so many more questions, but as she asked her final one, "So what happens now?" the entity gave a simple, definitive reply. "You wake up." And just like that, she was awake in her bed. The connection was just severed. And so the conversation was over, leaving behind way more questions than answers. Erin was left to wonder if she would ever see that prompt again and what the true implications of this encounter are for all of us, which, of course, brings us to our final thought. Erin Pavlina's story pushes us right to the edge of what we think is possible. So, we're going to turn the question over to you. If you discovered your dreams were being programmed and you had a direct line to that programmer, what would be the first thing you would ask?